West Point, known for its academic excellence, but did you also know it's quite possibly the only haunting acknowledged by the government? Today, we'll talk about a psychic who levitated and was thrown out of a haunted room, Lorraine and Ed Warren's involvement in an investigation there, and why a ghost turns over in her grave as her mother falls in love with the widow she left behind. Get all the details next on Technically a Conversation. Greetings, super friends. Welcome to another episode of Technically a Conversation. Here, we like to share an interesting topic with each other, which we've recently learned, and hope you find it interesting too. I'm one half of your host, Isela. Joining me, as always, is my very own personal, also tech assistant, Jose. How are you, Jose?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good. I only thought I would mention that because you're always helping me out, including today, which was no small thing because I was freaking out.
Always happy to help.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
How was your week so far?
Good. Just been working pretty much, so.
Yeah. Busy is always good, though. That's what I say.
I would prefer to say that I was on vacation this week, so.
Wouldn't we all, I'm sure.
Yeah. How was your week?
It was not bad. I felt like it was really busy for some reason. Oh, yeah, because since my parents were out of town, it was like very scheduled. Go let out the dogs in the morning, come back, go to work, go feed them, and then come home, make myself something to eat, go back to their house, then bring them in at night. It was a little busy.
So it's safe to say that you were the one that let the dogs out?
I let the dogs out. Oh my God. I legit barely found out that song was about ugly people.
I have no idea what that song's about.
Oh, that's what they mean. When you go to the club and you see ugly girls and the guys are like, oh, let the dogs out. That's kind of fucked up, right?
I don't really go to clubs, so.
Oh my God. Get nothing from you. All right, good.
I go to a hole in the walls where there's a bunch of other depressed people where we can bury our depression and with alcohol.
I'm sure there are dogs let out there too. That's all I'm saying.
I'll keep an eye out for sure.
No, it's okay. So before we go on, we want to remind everybody we still have the very awesome opportunity for everyone to get their very own super sexy, Technically a Conversation t-shirt. What do they have to do, Jose?
It's very simple. Just leave us a review. Send us a screenshot at one of our socials. We're at Greetings TAC everywhere, and you'll be entered to win a sexy Technically a Conversation t-shirt.
That's right. Spring's coming around. It's starting to get warm. You can start wearing your t-shirts again. Let's do this, people.
That'll be the ultimate flex, wearing a Technically a Conversation t-shirt.
That's right. So thank you again to everybody who has sent in reviews, and thank you still for listening. We do appreciate it.
Very much.
I will start off with a question for you. Do you like to go camping?
I do, actually.
Cool.
Even though I'm more of an indoor cat, I do enjoy camping every once in a while.
That is surprising, yeah. So when you go camping, are you one of those that likes to share ghost stories around like the bonfire or whatever?
I haven't consciously done that. It's more of hanging out around the campfire and just drinking and, just talking about whatever comes to your mind.
Just kind of BSing around.
Yeah. But I do like where this is going.
Yes, you know where this is going. I know, everybody. It's not anywhere near a creepy time or Halloween, like whatever those types of holidays are. But this was really interesting, and I barely found this out. So I'm going to share a few ghost stories, which all have one thing in common. Would you like to guess what it is?
Is it camping?
Not camping, but that's a good guess since I was talking about camping.
Is it leaving podcast reviews?
Ghost leave podcast reviews? Oh my goodness. I got to talk to your ghosts. They have the strangest thing in common. West Point Military Academy. Yeah, that's not at all what I would have thought this was known for. But apparently, this is a very well-known thing to the people that are in the know, people who have had cadets in their family and stuff like that. It's like a well-known thing. Let's dive in, shall we?
Got my bathing suit ready, girl.
West Point. It is the U.S. Military Academy. Just recently, it actually had its, hang on to your Army green hats, its 220-year anniversary on March 16th, 1802, which is actually why I kind of thought, hey, this would be a good time to bring this up. So West Point is probably known for being like this pillar of excellence, but we want to know warts and all, everything. So let's find out about these hauntings that the government has actually acknowledged, which is quite the attention grabber, is what I think anyway. Atención, por favor.
Spill the tea, girl.
Yeah. So first, a little bit of background. West Point is, according to their website anyway, it's there to educate and train, basically like each graduate to prepare a career of professional excellence as an officer of the U.S. Army. I mean, I shortened it for brevity's sake because you know how like the missions are like fucking a whole paragraph long. It's in upstate New York. So let's first talk a little tiny bit about West Point because it's actually built on the fortress. So West Point, the fortress, was here first, and it was strategically positioned on the Hudson because they can get a lot of supplies in and out with the river. And it was never taken out by the British, despite one of its officers offering to take a bribe of 20,000 pounds. Dude, super shady beginnings already. That's all I'm saying.
Definitely.
After the war, when soldiers and legislators both realized, hey, we probably need like an academy that's devoted to military strategy and military sciences. And they said, yeah, let's do it. And hence West Point, the military academy, was born. So that's like the small little tying the points together. And some big names that came out of it, just so we know, Ulysses S. Grant, Robert E. Lee, more recently, a CEO of Procter & Gamble, CEO of Johnson & Johnson, CEO of 7-Eleven, CFO of Twitter. All these big names have come out because it's a really big deal. So now that we've established where it is, how it got started, now to get into some better stuff. 1972, where it all began. The first sighting was documented by a man named Joseph O'Connor. His story starts where a lot of us have been at any night. We have to get up and we have to go pee, right? And then we probably want to get some snacks too. I'm just kidding. No, he had to get up and he had to go pee. So he went to the bathroom, but some weird shit was going on in the bathroom. He said the toilet paper was unrolling by itself. What? The water would turn off and on by itself. So nothing like, nobody was throwing shit at him or anything, but still kind of creepy and weird all in its own. Then things go up a level and he saw a full-bodied apparition of what appeared to be a soldier. And this ghost was actually known to be called the Pusher. In case anyone wants to look it up, the Pusher is actually a famous one that comes up with a lot of cool stories. Another cadet woke up to the same ghost looking down on him and like pinning him down from his chest.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
What? It reminded me of the one that you were talking about, right? The incubus? No, not the incubus. The succubus?
Yeah, incubus and succubus.
Oh, okay. I was like, no, that's a band. Okay, yeah. Well, that too. So I guess that's kind of how he woke up. He was thinking that it was on him, or that was what he saw anyway. I don't know. But he said it looked exactly the same. So that's the strange thing. There were so many cadets that kept bringing stories up. They were like, well, let's do a paranormal investigation. So just to kind of quickly sum up, most notably, Lorraine and Ed Warren also went there. And they are the demonologist couple that is based on those Conjuring movies and some other ones. I think Amityville, right? I think they were also involved in that. So everyone's sharing all their stories. And there's a lot of stories even on the military.gov site, which it says is it has like 40 years worth of stories. So I'm only going to share like 3 of them. But this one in 1972 where it started is the one that I thought had like the most detail. So I'm kind of kicking it off here. So October 1972. So this is before you and I were born. Came to like fuck up the world. I'm just kidding. We didn't. North Barracks. This is at room 4714. Normal room, 16 feet by 12 feet. Remember, there's 2 cadets in there. And around 2 a.m. This is when the whole thing started, where kind of started feeling like it was a dream. But then they were very much awake, and then they see this ghost in front of them, also in the closet. So now they're seeing the ghost. At first, it only had the eyes that lit up, which actually sounds creepy as fuck to me. One of the cadets that saw him screamed so loud that it startled the other one too. And that other soldier noticed how ice cold it was in the room just for that moment, that when they were both looking at him or this apparition. So there were so many accounts that it gained so much notoriety around the campus that people started asking to stay there just so that they could have their own like little experience. I mean, it's the same idea, right? When people want to rent like haunted hotel rooms and stuff like that. So I can't blame them. But there was too many people that were asking to stay there that they said, forget it. We're going to go ahead and convert it from a room to a study. Aren't they like almost already validating it in some way?
It seems strange to me. I would think that they would convert it into like a suite so that anybody can go over there and stay, and it would be a little cash cow for them.
You would think. I don't know. So there was even a New York Times article back from 1972. West Point officials were hesitant to call it a ghost, so they used the word apparition. Eventually, the Academy's own information officer, Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Dion, who was very clearly a non-believer in the paranormal, all he stated was, quote unquote, something has happened here and we've not been able to explain what it is. That's kind of weird. Now he's like kind of doubting it, right? One psychic by the name of Jean Dixon, she was apparently pretty famous back in the day. She was famous for predicting JFK's assassination. So she was supposed to go to spiritually cleanse the room. It didn't quite go as planned because eyewitnesses state that she basically walked in and she was illogically lifted from the floor, like just she was like levitating, and she was straight up thrown out of the room. So she obviously never went back. She was like, fuck this game, I'm out. And she clearly didn't get to cleanse the room. So poor lady, I think I would rather the demon give me a good old bitch slap than like fucking throw me out of the room or something. So just as things are getting good, I'm thinking we should cut to a commercial break, and then we can talk about when the Warrens got involved.
Financial freedom is our goal for every client at Wayne Financial. Whether you're in the market for wealth management, retirement services, or estate planning, Wayne Financial offers a service that's right for you. Our advisors will conduct a thorough analysis of your finances, assess your risk tolerance, and come up with an investment strategy that fits your goals. Are you saving enough for your retirement? Speak with a Wayne Financial Retirement Specialist to ensure you'll be able to continue living your current lifestyle during your golden years, and you're taking advantage of all current tax breaks to ensure your money is working for you. No one likes thinking about death, but what will happen to your family when you're no longer there to provide for them? Our estate planners will help you to prepare for the unexpected and make sure your final expenses and loved ones are cared for. Stop by a Wayne Financial branch for an appointment and take the first step to realize your goals.
Welcome back. How was your break?
Good. How was your break?
It was quite lovely. Just hoping that I don't summon any weird-ass West Point ghosts.
No dancing on this one.
No dancing. She's kind of like calm. Oh my God, I love her voice though. I know I've said that once, at least one other time. She's got that perfect voice for the commercials. I love it.
Definitely. I'm curious to hear what's up with these crazy bastards, the Warrens.
Dude, yes. Okay, West Point Superintendent Lieutenant General William A. Knowlton was still unhappy, right, that all these things were happening. And they obviously couldn't get anywhere with the Jean Dixon lady that was thrown out. So they said, screw it, we're calling the big guns, Ed and Lorraine. And I could be wrong in this next piece, so don't quote me, but I want to say they might have been the people that started the whole phrase, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. I'm just kidding. No, pretty sure they wouldn't. The superintendent called them in, and as they were talking through each room and giving their impressions of who was there and like what kind of ghost, that type of stuff, the superintendent was pretty much documenting everything that they said and really hoping that he can get as much detail so that he can send that information in a memo to the library. And the librarian actually went and did some thorough research kind of through the archives to see if anything would corroborate their claims, hoping to get some validity. And especially even to the cadets' claims, because there was hundreds of cadets that were saying these things too.
So they didn't get kicked out with con todo y Annabelle and all that?
No. Thankfully, they did not. One of the ghosts that they did feel, her name is Molly. One of the Warrens were like, she's an Irish cook, like straight up, she's a cook. Turns out she did serve one of the earliest superintendents, Sylvanus Thayer. And he was also known as the father of West Point. And side note, wouldn't you want to be known as the father of something besides a child? That's pretty fucking cool. So Molly was just more than just like a fun little prankster of a ghost. She reminded me of the Johnny Knoxville of ghosts, if you will. The other presence that the Warrens had felt.
Well, you can't just say that she's the Johnny Knoxville of ghosts and not explain why. Was she getting kicked in the balls or?
She was, no. She was getting thrown out of cannons.
Take a running start and give me a kick in the balls as hard as you can.
No, I mean it in the sense that she was like a prankster. So she would do things like, you would make your bed and then you would leave and then you would come back and she'd like fuck up all the sheets. So, little things like that. She very harmless, fun, but still where you're like, oh, fucking Molly. I'm just kidding.
Classic Johnny Knoxville. Always messing up people's beds. That's what he's known for.
Is he? I don't know. I don't know that side of him.
No, I just made that up.
I know. I'm just kidding. So the Warrens, they did feel her presence. They knew her name, but I thought it was really interesting that they kind of felt they knew her name was Molly. They knew her type of character. And then when they found the other information, that it kind of did corroborate what she was saying. So that part was a little bit interesting. I mean, I don't know what to believe, to be perfectly honest, but I did find that interesting. And this other one was really interesting too. The other ghost that they picked up on very strongly was an African-American soldier. She knew the name was Greer right off the bat, also like Molly, which is wild. He was described as wearing something similar to what Jonathan O'Connor had seen. That old time kind of, soldier cadet kind of outfit or whatever. They said that he carried a heavy sense of guilt for committing murder. And at this point, the superintendent had kind of lost a little bit of faith in the validity of the Warrens. And he was like, all right, thank you, next type of thing. Because he was like, no, you're probably wrong because we didn't have any Black cadets at West Point at that time. And kind of was like, thank you, bye-bye. But the librarian uncovered that was not true. There were, in fact, African-American cadets at that point. Isn't that strange? So let me just check in, a little pulse check with you. What are you thinking so far?
I mean, I think that they're great coincidences.
You think the name is also a coincidence? Like getting the name? Like it was one thing, I think, if they'd be like, Smith, that seems like that seems really common. I don't know how common Greer is.
That is true. Greer's not very common. I don't know, I've listened to a lot of podcasts about the Warrens, and they're like known for being con artists. So I don't know what kind of research they might have done prior to going. So, and you know me, like I'm the biggest skeptic anyway. So my skeptic senses are tingling.
What if I told you that they got the soldier's name correct? So it turns out there was a cadet, Lawrence Greer. He was a Buffalo soldier. And what happened to him was he really was a criminal, sadly. I guess when he was out, he kind of defected. And maybe that was when he committed his murder. But they imprisoned him in Fort Leavenworth. And he escaped June 1931. But then he was caught later in April of that next year near Albany, New York. And that was when he was taken to West Point court-martialed for his escape, and he was found guilty, and he was sentenced to 2.5 years of hard labor, which could be why he's still at West Point.
And he ended up dying in that room.
So you've heard this?
No, I'm just making that up. No.
I don't know. I think that part is it does sway me to believe more into like the Warrens and maybe their abilities. I haven't heard the stories that you're talking about. I actually don't know a whole lot of that, but this was the first one that was really in depth that I had heard that really kind of, I don't know, it felt like it had some validity to it. So
there's a really good podcast on Monster Talk where they actually interview the Warrens. They released it around the time that one of those first Annabelle movies or The Conjuring or whatever, right before one of those came out. And they were able to poke a lot of holes in their stories. And I mean, obviously it was before the guy died, because I think the lady is still alive, but the Patrick Wilson character is the one that is deceased. And yeah, they were able to poke a lot of holes in the stories. But it was cool because he pretty much gave him a tour of their whatever, like their little mansion or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. They have like a museum or something like that, right?
Yeah, there you go. And where they have all the most haunted things. And one of them was that Annabelle doll. You know, it was really cool for them to go and actually see it in person. It's actually a Raggedy Ann doll. It looks nothing like the one from the movie. I thought it was super interesting.
It is interesting, like to the point where I even wanted to go to the Zach Baggins. There was like a haunted museum that he has in Las Vegas. And my daughter even wanted to go, but it turns out you have to be 18 or over. So we could not go. But I'm curious.
I'm very good at forging IDs and driver's license from my time in high school.
I'm glad you're announcing that on the podcast. Hello.
I think the statute of limitation is already over. It's like 20 years ago, so pretty sure it is.
That's so funny. Is it hand-drawn?
Actually, yeah. Well, I'm not going to say how I did it because I don't want to give people ideas, but it's one of those things that it's so easy, even a child could do it.
Oh, wow. Wow. But they shouldn't.
They shouldn't, no.
Yeah, we should tell our super friends, but they should not.
Back in the day when you and I were young, we would go to Juarez because you could go drink over there when you were 18. And I mean, you could still do that now, but it's not as easy to do that now as opposed to how it was before.
Yeah, this is very true. I don't think I ever had a fake ID. They just kind of, well, maybe because I'm a girl. Maybe they were just like, yeah, we need girls. They're like, come on in.
Yeah, I think it's always easier for women to get into those type of places than guys.
Well, but even back in like high school, I look like a little boy. Anyway, I'm going to talk about the last ghost that was listed on the U.S. military website.
Before you do, if I can find that podcast where they do the interview with the Warrens, I'll put it in the show notes.
We'll also have a link to a podcast that I had seen on YouTube. It was one of those type of visual podcasts, and they were talking about this. And they even had a picture of the barracks, the room 4714, in case anyone's interested.
Did they have a picture of the Warrens?
Actually, they do. They do have a picture of the Warrens.
With the Annabelle doll?
No. No. Raggedy Ann. So the last ghost we're going to talk about is from Quarters 107B. And she is a lady ghost. In fact, this is how they refer to her, as the lady. Several former cadets and the Association of Graduates kept referring to her as the lady in a quarters that is on Professor's Row that's overlooking the Hudson River. The story goes, a professor and his young wife lived there. However, she became fatally ill in the 1920s. As any good mom would do, her mom moved in to help her daughter clean the house, give her emotional support, all that stuff.
De la manzanilla.
Yeah, that's what we do, for sure. I don't know if she was Mexican, but I'm kind of feeling like she was. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. So far, this all makes sense, right? I mean, I know I would probably do that, but it takes a terrible turn, let me tell you. The professor and the mother had some type of weird attraction for each other. Pause here to puke. Yeah, exactly. And this attraction somehow grew into love, which is believed to have brought the wife's death. Maybe she brought it on a little bit sooner. She was like, well, I have nothing left to live for. My mom took my husband. Gross. Before she died, though, she made her husband promise not to marry her mom. He agreed. He was like, I promise. Yet somehow he was taking marriage vows shortly after she died. Wakala. This emotional distress in life and in death is what mediums say is perhaps what's keeping her from finding peace in the so-called afterlife. She's clearly not happy. There have been many items that have been thrown, flipped upside down. Like this is a very clearly different feel from like Molly. And obviously these are not the type of behavior characteristics that one would call ladylike. So how did she get her name? During 1971 through 1975, a family of a class of 1960 graduate lived there in these quarters. And one of the two daughters in the family would wake up the parents in the middle of the night because the younger sister was talking to somebody. So when the parents went into the bedroom to see what was going on, you guessed it, nobody else in the room. So when they asked the little girl who she was talking to, she just said, the lady. Creepy. How do you feel about that crazy story?
That's pretty crazy, definitely.
It is. That's a little freaky.
So whatever happened to this MILF and her husband?
I don't know. They didn't talk about like the afterlives of the people that stayed alive. They really kind of just talked about more so what the ghost, how it came to be in her story, really.
But she might be the first MILF on record.
I guess, right? She might be. Well, I don't know. Is that a story that's like, tale as old as time? Is that like one of those things? I don't know how far back those weird whack-ass Maury Povich stories go.
Sounds like a bad Pornhub video or something.
That's so gross. That's so gross. Well, this brings us to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed the ghost stories, Jose.
I did, but before we end, before you start congratulating people, girl.
I'm going to congratulate everybody all the time.
The people we do need to congratulate are the queens, Erica and Elena, and the Duke, Stephen B., for sharing our post on their social medias. And we even got a little special sound effect for you all.
Thank you guys. You guys are always awesome for sharing our posts. I absolutely and endlessly appreciate everybody. Thank you.
And you also said that we received a little bit of listener feedback.
Oh, I did personally get some feedback in my messages. So I really appreciate Noel that was reaching out and asking when the anticipation was killing him. He was wondering when the next podcast was coming out. And so he was trying to get some insider information on what the topic was. So I appreciate that. And Stephen, the Duke, also reached out and said that he appreciated hearing his shout out. Thank you, sir. So this concludes our shout outs. Thank you, everybody. I would like to say, if you guys have a cool topic that you would like us to research, definitely send it our way.
What I can do is I can put a Google form on our website so that way people can submit their topic that way.
Okay, that'd be cool.
By the time that you all are hearing this, it'll be up. So just go to technicallyaconversation.com and there should be a little link there to submit ideas.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure our listeners have some really great topics. I know Stephen gave me a topic of one lady. I got to fit her in because she had a really fucking kick-ass story. So, I mean, there's one already.
Yeah, and we had Eli. We had done his suggestion about the Drake equation, and Adan about the zombies.
The zombies? Yeah, let's keep them rolling, people. We love it. We'll share and share alike, guys.
There's no guarantee we'll use your suggestion, but if we do use your suggestion, we'll shout you out.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, you're like, do something about pennies. Oh, God. Well, maybe not. It's like the most boring thing. So, well, congratulations, lovelies. You have done it again, folks. You've learned about another interesting topic, maybe this time a little bit creepy, but maybe less dinner topic and more appropriately shared over roasting marshmallows. We hope you've been entertained by our chat and invite you to join us again next week. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us a review, tell a friend, subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast, and follow us on Facebook or Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at greetingstac, or you can email us at greetingstac@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 915-317-6669 if you have a story to share with us.
Oh no, Isela, it's the lady! Ah!
Shut up.